It's Karen from Liongate Farm, and today we are going to make the cutest sheep in the world, the Valais Blacknose, and there's going to be a kit. So I will have the kits on the website for you. That way it makes it easy. All the supplies are in there. So let's get started. Hey, it's Karen from Liongate Farm, which you already know. And today we're going to make the cutest sheep in the world. This is a Valais Blacknose. My version of a Valais Blacknose. They have long tails. I'll tell you about the sheep first because I've actually had my hands on a real one. They were imported into the United States through Oregon, so been kind of following it. Their wool, we're going to use Blueface locks. I know, right? Because they're tiny, and when we're making a tiny sheep, we still need them to look curly. If you used a real Valais lock, it would be too big to get this effect. So they're a coarse wool breed. Their wool is for carpet. They're not as soft as my sheep. They're big. They're actually a pretty big, beefy sheep, but they are cute. You can hardly see their faces, so we aren't going to even do a face, even in person. Pretty gentle. So, cool news. There is a kit. There's a kit for this, so fun times. And you know how I am about the kits. In the kits on the back side of the kit page is the map to my video. You like that? The map to the video. So let me go through. We had a suggestion that we leave what we're making in the frame, and Ken and I can't figure out how to do that. So I'll have it here so I can look at it. You know, if you get the kit, there's one on the front of the kit. So you're going to need 3 16 gauge 9-inch wires, 1 18 gauge 6-inch wire. I like to use my pen tool on this project, 38 star spiral. The horns are done in dark fawn. A couple ounces of core wool, raven black Corriedale. You might want to use a ruler, you might not. What else? If you're cutting your own wire, you'll need wire cutters. But let's get started. So on my little cheat sheet, which Canon will put in the comments of the video on the Facebook group page, where we always put it, there is in the template, you just follow the template of the wire. So to save that picture it's not a PDF. It is not a PDF. Because a lot of you guys want a PDF, and I haven't figured out how to do that yet. Maybe someday I will. Just left click, save as picture, download it to your computer or your device. And then you should be able to print it as an 8.5 by 11, and that will give you everything you need. So you're going to follow that picture. Just kind of bend the wire. I mean, it is a very simple little armature, very simple. So bend that wire into that shape. Okay, and we're going to set these other ones aside. We got legs and horns there. So Valais Blacknose are super cute, but boy, they're expensive sheep. I don't know if I would ever have one unless it was free, because, you know, sheep, when you have sheep, so what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this around the head. But when you have sheep, you know, they can pass away for no reason whatsoever out in your pasture. And it's a very sad thing. And I don't know if I could spend that much money on something that could happen to. And then there's the predators and whatnot. It's just a super big expense. And for me, hay is a big enough expense already. Okay, so I'm wrapping the head. I just want to get it started. Oh my goodness. So I just got a little cattywampus here. Just wrap a bunch around the head. Poke this on. That is not how big the head's going to be. So you have the template, and we're going to work towards the sizes on the template. Now this time I'm going to take some coral and I am going to tear it. You can use, like this is the Serafina tacky wrap, which I love on the wire. So you can actually grease up your wire a little bit with that stuff. Highly recommend, if you don't have that, add that to your felting arsenal. I do not get any kickbacks from Serafina. I just love her products. From one felter to another, she has some great stuff. So she's also where I get my power wax from, my cold wax that I use on my horns. So basically I'm just wrapping this wire to get it covered and get it not wire. And right now it's going to look like a little dinosaur. This batch of core wool is awesome. You know, the core wool comes in, I have no idea what breeds are in it. And sometimes it's super, super, super good. And sometimes it's just okay, but it's always good. But this batch, I really am enjoying it. That has come in. Now you'll notice that I am not going to put a top coat on this guy because I don't need to. Even his legs are done in core wool. The locks come down far enough. So then I'm going to compare it to my picture. So my head still needs to be a little bit fatter down here. And body needs to be way fatter. So let me show you what I'm going to do to make that happen. I am going to make a hot dog. You guys know how I do this. I call them hot dogs. I just roll it up. About the length of the body. Give it a couple stabs. And we've got there. So let's see what's been going on around here. I processed a Wensleydale fleece this week. A lamb fleece that I bought at the Wafa sale from 2BU. It was a little bit different than processing my BFL. And the locks are a little bit more open than I expected. I will share, I think I put a picture of it. No, I put it on the Wafa page. I'll put a picture of it up, drying. It's a pretty big fleece. You know, my blue face fleeces aren't super big, and this one was a little bit bigger than I was used to. I was like, oh, okay. But I prepped it the same way, lock by lock. And it will probably end up in the dye pot and maybe in blending packs. Some fun stuff. Just wanted to play with a different breed of sheep. And the ruling is, I still like mine the best. To play with their fleece. I processed an adult Wensleydale about, before I broke my neck, a couple years ago. And when I bought it, it said 7 pounds. I'm like, wow, this is a big fleece. And it was jet black, and I was super excited about it. And do you know that that fleece had so much dirt that I only ended up with 2.5 pounds of fleece when I was done washing it. The rest was dirt. It was the dirtiest fleece I ever washed in my life. I'm like, I wonder where these sheep lived. I was like, oh my goodness. So much dirt. Just rinsing and rinsing and rinsing. So he's still looking like a dinosaur here. And I'm just working this fleece into the body. They don't have a lot of neck. because they have a lot of fleece. I think these guys shear huge fleeces. It's definitely not next to Skin Soft. It's a pokey fleece. All right, so I'm gonna take a piece and I'm gonna go around this end just to finish that off, and then I'm gonna compare it and see where we're at. So I'm about there, but the head is not. So let's finish the head. And what is not there about the head, I'm gonna stretch it out, is that it needs to be wider at the base. So I'm gonna add fiber down here. Remember, it will get wider when we put the black on. That is the second time I've almost poked myself. And you guys, I have to apologize for my hands. I already apologized to Canon. My hands are dirty and they won't come clean. Gardening. It's a gardening thing. Oh, and we were playing in the dye earlier. That also might have something to do with it. I know. Gloves, gloves, gloves. All right, so his head is getting pretty wide. But he has a neck still. We want to get rid of that. Let's just take a piece and we're going to add it around here. Make that neck go away, and it's gone. Okay, so now I'm going to compare it to my picture. And we are just about there. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to poke on this until it's nice and smooth. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to, it'll probably be like 10 minutes, maybe a little longer. I just like this guy to be a little bit firm, not super hard. You know, I'm not an advocate of poking until you can't get your needles in. But I'm just going to poke it until it gets nice and smooth. And then the next step, we'll put on some legs. So next, you're going to need your other two 16 gauge wires. And we're just going to take my fantastic way of doing this. Kind of look at your drawing where they go. Take your skewer, my unorthodox method of putting on legs, and follow it through. Pretty much find center. And then we're going to, the thing about the legs, so they have a chest. They always have a chest. It's kind of like you line it up where their shoulder would be, right at the base of their neck. And then in the back, it's probably about, I'll give you a measurement. So about an inch in, but you want them to be level. Just take your skewer, follow them through, and then, kind of find center so that you have the same length leg on either side. So next, we're going to build these legs. And, you don't have to put both in at the same time. I just like to. So we're going to take a small piece of our wool and we're going to split it. So we have this nice, probably inch wide, but it's not super thin, not super wide. So it's easy to work with. And I'm going to start on a back leg. I'm just going to tack it down. And I'm going to wrap. And I'm wrapping pretty tight. Keep that roving flat while you wrap. You're going to get to the end and you're going to turn up about a 1/2 inch. And you can squeeze. I can normally do it myself. Now remember, I was wrapping that to the back, so I'm going to go back up doing the same thing. You want to always wrap in the same direction. Otherwise, if you wrap the other way, it's going to get, the bottom layer will get loose, and you don't want to do that. Kind of make sure your legs are staying the same length, you know, so it would be this length plus how much you turned up. And then let's tack this. Lost my needle for a second. I don't like how this is not smooth. I'm just going to poke it a little bit. Okay, then we're going to do the next one. And remember, you remember how much you turned up, and you want your leg to be about the same length. Same procedure. I'm going to tack it. This is just a base coat on these legs. You can see I'm holding it with one finger, wrapping it. I wrap past where I'm going to turn it up. And turn it up. The reason we do that is because the wire stays covered. Remember, I was wrapping to the back. We're going back up. I'm probably going to run out of wool, which is perfectly okay, because we're going to come back and put more on these. Let's tack it down. And then you're going to do the same thing with the front legs. So go ahead and do that. And then we'll come back and put on some hooves. Okay, so we have 4 legs on our little sheep. You might notice that the back legs come out just a hair longer than the front, and that's okay because you can put their little hock in there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take out some, this is Raven Corriedale. Raven Black is what it is. So the first thing I want to do is build a little hoof. And I am just going to wrap some black on here. And then tack it. Kind of give it a little flatness. Now, of course, that does not look like a hoof yet. We're gonna do that in a second. I'm gonna do it 4 times, so you're gonna be able to get this. Okay. We're gonna make his leg a little bit wider now. Let's build up his leg. When you get down here by the hoof, so if you've ever looked at a sheep hoof, not a lot shows in the back. They have more that shows in the front. I know a lot of people like to, so if you can, I don't even think I can. We just want a little bit sticking out. We want that a little bit wider down there. We're going to come back up. And you can see his little leg is getting a little bit fatter. I always say his. This does not feel like a girl sheep to me, and I don't know why. Tuck in my little white. Kind of make sure it looks in proportion. Add lot of the time I like skinny little legs on sheep, but not on this breed. And then if you just want to get all carried away right now on the front leg, we're going to take some black, give it a knee. Just a little round area. Just tuck that black in. And you have a little knee. All right, so let's do some more. I need some more black. Come around. And so see how I just accidentally did that? Let's just tuck that all back in. Felting from the bottom, felting from the sides. Be very careful that you don't poke your finger. You guys all know it's easier for me to work up in the air. If you want, you can flip yours over and work on the pad. I just want to make sure that that black is attached to the leg. And then we need our next little piece of core. And remember which way you wrapped. I'm still wrapping that same way. And I didn't get enough, but that will be okay. I'll just add. It's going to end right about the knee. Let's tuck that in. I ended right about there. I'm just going to go down and come back up. Let's tuck it in. You're not going to see any of this up here anyways. It's kind of why I mean, we could sculpt in the shoulder. I don't think you need to. It's all hidden by the locks once we get them on. Let's just make sure that this is all nice and attached. He has a nice little chest still. Now we need the knee. So Kenan, we're starting our next contest today, right?
Yes.
Okay, so today is June 2nd?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a new contest, and it's kind of a fun one. Where did I put her? She might be in there in the tent. Or him. It could be a him. My 4th of July. I made a 4th of July sheep. So I figured we'll give away a 4th of July sheep this month. Wait, Kenan's checking it out. So this month we're going to do a 4th of July sheep for a giveaway. Very festive. It will be fun. Meanwhile, let's get back to these hooves. I'll show it again at the end of the video. You guys, you gotta tell me what you think you would like to win. Would you like to win finished products from me, or would you like to win like blending packs or surprise me packs or kits? You know, it's new for us. We thought giveaways might be kind of fun. You only need to enter one time. It's going to keep rolling. So entering more will not give you more chances. Your name goes in one time to the random drawing picker. Okay, got that one on. Now they don't have black knees in the back. You know, my sheep have black knees like that. It's from kneeling to eat. They do that. It's kind of silly. Coming back up. Now you can see my wraps, and I don't like that. I want to smooth this out by poking along the leg. You know how I say needle felting is about learning how to push the wool into the shape that you want it with the needle. And by entering it sideways, it's pushing it flat towards itself. Now here, if you wanted to build up this hock, you would just take a piece of core wool, if it was killing you that you didn't have this on your sheep. Anatomically correct. You could just take a piece and fill this in. And that will give you the little hock. But like I said, we're not going to see any of this. Okay, we have one more leg to go. Testing to make sure it's still standing up. I want to smooth that out a little. Even though we're not going to see it, it's just me. So now that we have 3 legs done, you can see what a difference from our first wrap. So let's give him some black. Just pull off the extra. Ken, I might have to put some funky music right here because I can't think of anything to say. I'm thinking about making my sheep. If you're ever in Southern Oregon, make sure you stop by the actual shop. You know, let me know you're coming and do a little farm visit. You can meet the sheep. My guest house is very booked for the summer. It's kind of crazy. The minute Critter Lake thaws out, I get the tourists coming to my guest house. So there, I built up the other hock for you so you can see me do that again. And now we're gonna felt his little hiney in. Like I said, this does not need to be super felted because you're not gonna see it. But I did add a tiny. It's because I just do it. Kenny, you might want to make sure I'm still in the frame because I shifted a little bit. We filmed that one video where I was not in the frame and it was not good.
You're fine.
Okay, just checking. All right, so we have 4 legs, and you can see it's starting to be a stocky little sheep. So next, I know you're dying to get to the head. Okay, we'll cover the head next. I usually put the tail on about here, but I know everybody's dying to put the black head on. You guys, this is easy. You're just gonna wrap it and felt it on. Goal here is to see no core wool. We do not have a live sale in June because we will be at the Black Sheep Gathering that weekend. It's like a vacation for John and I. We go away once or twice a year, and I make him go to a sheep show and show sheep. He has to come with me because I can't do it by myself anymore. So we will be in the barn at the Black Sheep Gathering in Albany, Oregon. The last weekend of June, like the 27th, 28th, 28th, 29th, 30th, something like that. He's not very excited. Oh, I knew that's what you were doing. Kenna was in there looking for the chocolate.
I was kind of just looking out the window and then I saw the chocolate.
Yeah, I knew that's what you were looking for. Somebody just pulled in. I don't know who it is.
Isn't that the guests?
I don't think so. Maybe it is. Maybe.
It is.
Oh, okay. All right, so I go down his neck just a little tiny bit, not very much. There are not a lot of sheep breeds out there that have black faces and white wool. It's a pretty rare thing. I do have some black face silver sheep, but they started out black when they were little. But there isn't any that are white like this Valais. All right, so now we have his head. Let's make the tail make me feel better. Okay, so put him aside, and you are going to take a little piece of core. Little piece. And we are going to draw. They have long tails, and they don't get docked. And we're going to draw that little U, and then we're going to turn it in. They're thick, long tails. All sheep are born with tails. You know, sometimes I forget that, and then I have lambs. I'm like, oh yeah, you have tails. But they're docked or banded when they're little, when they're very tiny. Like I do mine right when they're like 2 days old, because then they won't remember. We band them. And it's done for sanitary reasons. Because a case of fly strike is a very bad thing. So if they scour it all and it gets in their wool, then the flies go in there and lay their eggs. It's not a pretty sight. So we have this little tail. And we're not going to attach it quite yet. We are going to, I'm going to reach over here and grab some locks out of my bag. I have a bag of locks here. I'm going to grab some locks. When I process these locks for you guys, I try to make them so that they're all singles. I try. It's not the easiest thing to accomplish, but I don't want you guys to have felty locks. And I try not to do felty locks, but sometimes it happens. Sometimes they stick together. So I just added some locks to that tail, but I have fringe left here at the top. This is what it looks like. We're going to go ahead and attach it right here. like the top of his rump. Let's work that fringe in. So it should come down almost to where their like knees would be. Again, you're not going to see this area we're attaching because we're going to cover him with locks. Okay, so no ears yet. The next thing we're gonna, well, should we do the ears first? I've done it both ways. Let's do the ears first. That will give you better horn placement. So you need 2 pieces of black. And we're gonna draw that ear shape. I want you to draw them at the same time. And this is really hard for you to see, I think, in the camera. So I'm drawing it with my needle. I draw it with my needle. It's kind of like a V, but a little bit wider out. And then we're going to fold all that in, leaving fringe at the top. Go back over here and fold this one all in. And then you know the drill. We're going to flip them. We want these to be pretty smooth and even. I'm not going to power wax these. I'm not going to cold wax these because they have, whoops, I caught a lock. They have kind of fuzzy ears. Let's flip this one over. Then you're going to fold that ear in half. I don't like the end of this. But you're going to fold your ear in half and just stab it a couple times. A lot. Still have all this fringe, but there, now you have an ear. So let's do both of them. Decide which side you like better, and then fold the other side to the in. That'll be the inside of their ear. So one thing you can do, if you want to make it a little bit smoother, is just trim off any extra fibers that are sticking out that didn't get felted in. Just trim those off. So now we're going to put them on. Their ears, my sheep have ears that go up here. And there are sheep that have ears like that, like a border Leicester. We want about the middle of the head, just down a little bit. Kind of a little bit back from where the neck hit. And we're going to work that in, work that fringe in. The more we poke this fringe in, and I'm pushing that ear forward a little bit. I always want to make ears going up because that's what my sheep are. So having them go out to the side is something different. Make sure you put them on the same location of the head on either side. Look from the front. We're doing pretty good here. Let's get them attached. So we have our little ears on. So all that's left to do is to dress him. And that takes the longest of all. So here's where your locks come in. When you look at a lock, you have your cut end. This is where it was sheared off the sheep, and then your tip end. I like them to go to their knees. So we are going to put them on one at a time. I want you to layer them. If you feel like you need to tack everyone right away, go ahead and do that. But don't tack it all the way down here. You're only going to tack it up here at the cut end. You're going to leave this loose. You want them kind of even. And that may mean that this one starts down further. So I'm basically just tacking them on. If you come across a shorter one, put it aside. It might make a good face one. So we're going to go around the whole entire body, putting on these locks. If you find that you need to pull locks apart, I'm going to show you a little tricky here. See, that one was a little fuzzy. So if I have this bunch of locks, I'm going to look at it. And I'm going to look for a tip. You always pull from the tip, not the cut end, the tip end. That will keep it from getting not as fuzzy. We want that fuzz up here to attach the locks. I don't even mind these little ones that have dirt in them because, you know, sheep have dirt in them. Now that's a short one. I'm going to put this one up here because it's a short one. And I'm going to put that one up there. Wait, that's not the cut end. I want the cut end up here. I'm starting to find short ones, so we'll just add them. But you're going to go all the way around. And then once you get the first layer on, then you're going to go back and we're going to add another layer. I usually end up doing like 3 layers. So then I have this layer, which comes halfway down those locks. Which is attached about right here. And then the last layer, I double them. The last layer up here, I will put on like this. I have the middle of the lock, center of the back, the cut ends down here, and then that one's going to go over. So you end up with this cascade of locks, but I always have these loose. The first, you always have them loose. That's what gives you the awesome look of a very fluffy sheep. This takes time. You can't just slap them on because you have to look at each lock. I'm working this whole side at once. I usually don't do that. I usually go all the way around the sheep with the bottom layer. Then I come back and do the next layer. usually don't do one side all at once like this. I just want you to see. And you can, that's a little one. I'm going to put this up here. My little ones, I'm starting like right at the ears, and they're loose on the face. I think that's another little one. Let's put it up here. What those little ones are second cuts that my shearer did. This one's a little fuzzy, but I'm going to leave it in there. Wait a minute. Sometimes it's hard to tell which is the cut end and which is not the cut end. And remember, we've got to get some more down here. You can add a little poke here and there to catch the fuzzies. Now look, this is actually well, it's pretty fuzzy. This is pretty fuzzy. I'm going to actually use this on the hind end because, you know, that's the britch end that they usually lay on. No locks left behind. Let's use them all. So this is what we have so far. Look at how cute that is. Now I think I need some more lock right there. You kind of got to go and look and see if you need to fill in anywhere. If you do, just add a few more. I need some right there. But I added them underneath to make it look more full. We need some more right there. I feel like this guy has longer legs than my other guy. He might. But that's okay. Might be a little bit bigger. So let's work. I'm going to put his legs out like that. You could look, you can make him sit down and be very cute. I'm going to start putting locks on the chest area. I hope you can see this. I don't know if you're just looking at the top of the sheep. What do you think, Cannon? Do you think they can see what I'm doing? Probably not. I'll flip it up. So what I did is I sat him down so that when I'm working on him, I can see what I'm doing. But I'm going to hold him this way so you can see what I'm doing. Now the chest area is an interesting little spot. You might need to put a lot of locks here to get it to build up and hang straight. So I'm going to add some more under here. I should have added these first. If you're making these and you sell them, you need to make sure that your people know not to have them around their pets, because a cat can shear one of these sheep faster than any shearer I know. I have this cat named Stewie who's very good at it. So here I am. I'm going to the next side of the sheep. So I want you to just keep adding, and I'll come back in a minute and we'll finish the top because it's going to take a bit. Okay, I have gone around a few times and added a ton of curls. And you're going to want to just look. You got to look at him from all sides. I still need to finish up here. But before we go further, I'm going to take these off. I've remembered, oh yeah, we got to put his horns on. So you need your little 6-inch 18 gauge wire and your skewer. And we're just going to come in right on either side of his head, between his ears. That's where sheep horns fall. And we're going to follow that skewer through. And then we're going to find center. So we have, I know it looks like they're going to be really long, doesn't it? They're not. Again, if you're, you can use your tacky wrap. So I'm going to tacky wrap one. I have a hole in my tacky wrap. Cannon would be very happy to know that I cleaned this off, so it didn't look as bad. You know, they get all fibery. All right, so here we have dark fawn. I like the dark fawn because it's got like a variegated look to it, especially when you put it onto the sheep horn. All right, we're gonna bend this guy back out of the way, and we are gonna take our needle and we're gonna anchor this in right at the base of the horn. Similar to the leg, we're gonna wrap always. This you want super tight, super flat, super tight. They have kind of short, flat, twisty horns. Get to that end, fold that end in after you've wrapped past it. You shouldn't need your pliers with an 18 gauge. Okay, there is a lock that keeps getting stuck to the end of that. All right, we're going to wrap back. Remember, always going in the same direction. I know they look really long, don't they? They're not really. I didn't quite have enough for that horn. Let me get a little bit more. I just like the base. Again, I'm going to add wrapping the same direction. I like the base to be a little bit fatter. Wider. I should say wider. I always say fatter. Okay, and then we're going to adhere all this down here. We're going to power wax these. You don't have to power wax them. Let's do the other side. But I'm going to because I like the finish I get on the horns. It gives you just a nice. So what we're going to do is just twist it just a little bit. That's all you're going to do. So if you don't want to power wax it, that's where you're at. Let's add, 6 inches might even be too much wire for their little horns. I got twisted, my fiber got twisted, so I let it go. And I'm gonna run out again. But you guys probably saw that and go, oh, she doesn't have enough fiber. It's good for you to see me run out, and then you can see how I rectify that. And then I have another little piece here. I'm gonna go up, hold on to it, and then I'm gonna wrap over it. And that will, I'm gonna run out again. I'm just using all these bits that are sitting here. It's better to use the bits than end up in a bag.
it's about time for me. Speaking of bits, it's about time for me to make my bags of bits because I have lots of bits. I throw them in this one container and it's starting to overflow. Okay, rip that off of there. Get them similar size. Poke it in. And I am going to power wax them for you so you can see me do it. This is the Power Wax water-based cold wax. I understand mine is yucky inside. It's got fibers. It's got all kinds of stuff. I understand they changed the formula a little bit. I read that somewhere. And I haven't got new stuff yet. I still have lots of old stuff. Because when I like something, I order a lot of it. So I'm just spreading it on them. You got to work it into your wool. Whatever you use power wax on, it's going to lighten it a little bit. The only way to help that, avoid that, is to hit it with a heat gun gently, not a lot, or it will burn. And it will, or an iron, a little mini iron, and it will sink in. So while you're doing horns like this, you want to twist them the same way that you were wrapping. And that's going to get your fiber nice and tight, working that wax in. And we have, I'm going to tuck some more fiber into his head. I'm twisting the horn as I go, which also is going to make it have texture. See the texture that's forming? Because if you've ever looked at their horns, they're not smooth. This one's definitely not smooth. I didn't get my wax all the way in yet. I don't like that I caught some of the black fibers, but that's okay. That's okay. There we go. All right, let me put the lid back on my power wax. To get power wax off your fingers, you just want to do this, or you can go rinse them. I just usually do this so that I don't have it on my fingers anymore. Makes your fingers kind of tacky. So now let's go back and put these short fibers back on. I had some right there. There's one right here. They have fibers that come down in front of their ears. Now see these little fibers right here? You can use those to attach your little locks. Again, I want the tip end here, the cut end up there. Just like we trimmed, I'm trimming the fuzzies off of these. Now this lock, it's too long, but I'm gonna attach it right in the middle, and then it will come down and we'll have a short one. Okay. Now where we're at. Everything gets all cattywampus. Now we're going to finish. There's some short ones here. I'm going to use those. I'm going to use these short ones right in here. I think there's other videos on how to do this out there, how to make a Valais. This is just my version. And what I'm doing right now is I'm putting on a lock in half, because that will help build up his chest area also. So I'm poking it on in half and then anchoring it with one stab. This is a little fuzzy, that's okay, because it's building up this area right here. See, it's building this up. Everything gets compacted when you're working on it. I'm not worrying too much about these groups of locks, but you see it's building up this chest right here, because now I'm poking them into the bottom of his head. This last little bunch here, I'm going to poke from the bottom, so then they'll be down like this. And there you can see we built that up. Let's give it a little poke to hold it down. So now come up here, move his horn out of the way. John's watching something where they're screaming. Can you hear that, Cannon?
Yeah.
So I want you to know no one's being tortured in the background. If you can hear that, oh my goodness. And I'm just working forward, back towards the back of his head. Again, I'm going to use a half lock here because it will tie this together. Well, it's not a half lock. I'm felting it in half. Is a better way to put it. That one can be a full lock. I have this fuzzy, and I'll just tack it in there for kicks. Going all the way up to the back of his ear and coming down into that. Now, before I get too far down the neck, I want to go back and put them all across. Hey, look, I can sit him down for this. Squish him down. I'm going to go like this. You can do it two ways. You can do a lock and do it in half. I think he just forgets we're in here. Or you can go long ways. You know, whichever works for you. So again, you can felt that in that end. We're working down the middle of his back. They kind of have so much fleece that they get this part down the middle of their back. My sheep get that too once they get super long. So we can go. That was not the cut end. This is the cut. You can just poke it in and have it go that way. Just work your way up the back. we are mostly just felting the cut end. Everything else is pretty loose. I think the most consistency is if you take that cut end and felt it in and then flip it over. That's going to give you the cleanest look. But it's whatever works at the time. I do it all different ways. You can make one of these with rainbow locks. That would be really fun. But because we have so much fleece under there already, it's just felting right in. Get your horn back up there. Cut end. I have a cut end and I have a non-cut end. I just kind of go back and forth until I get what I want. So I'm ready to fill this part in, but I'm not ready to fill all of this in yet because I haven't filled this part in yet. So I'm gonna go back over here and fill this side of his head in. See how when I pull those apart, I'm pulling them from the tip. It's funny because you can't really tell what it's going to look like at this point. I mean, you kind of can, but this one I'm going to felt in half right here. And drop that down. Fills in pretty quick though. And I know you guys were thinking this is going to be a really fast project. Not. I don't like what's, oh, that's because I got a fuzzy one there. See, and then as you're working, you see weird stuff like that, and you're like, oh, I gotta fix that. If you overwork your locks, they will just turn into just flat fuzz. These are very tiny locks right here. We're just gonna add that whole bundle. Start getting super picky about which locks I put on. These are all good locks. These came from, I can't remember who this came from. Oh, these were Zazzy's locks. Almost all my locks are good. Almost all. If they're stained, I dye them. And then you don't know they're stained. Look at how he looks pretty silly right now, huh? All right, hold on. Get in there. So when you come back to the side, you're like, oh, wait a minute. He needs a lock right there. So you kind of got to just look, fill it out. And then we're going to sculpt it a little with the needle. I'm going to do now is I'm going to follow these locks down to straighten them out and just kind of give them a poke. Because I need to see where I'm at. It's definitely a fluffy sheep. Okay, let's see where I'm at. He's way fluffy on this side. So I'm pulling the locks down with my needle and just giving them a poke so that they're all hanging straight. It's starting to make more sense. I still have bare spots here. But I needed it to make sense for a second. Now, I'm going to fill this in. We're almost done. Kenan, we're almost done. Now this is a big lock, so I'm gonna tack this one backwards. Go over to this way, and that should finish that shoulder. We need to finish this neck. I get to the point where I'm like, I want to get it done. I want to get it done. I think I told you guys I'm working on a raven, full-size raven. I have not had time to felt. I was almost in felting withdrawals. I've been gardening so much. The gardens are just about to the puttering stage where I can just water and do other stuff. Just about. Are you ever done planting? No, not with my gardens. So I'm looking at its ear here. This lock goes down there. This goes there. Horn is going to come behind there. Twisted. Let's add this lock right here. So I just have this little tiny space to fill in and it'll be done. Stand up. This is not a small little sheep. At least the kit one is not. The one that I made earlier was smaller than this. It always happens. The one I do on my video is always bigger. What are you doing with my Christmas sheep over there, Kenan?
Fell over. Put it back up.
Wrong season. Fill it in the last of this spot. And he is done. Finally. Now you can finish this guy off with a really nice twine and a bell. They historically have the big bells. Okay, I don't feel like he has enough on the top of his head. So hold on a second here.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm adding more fluff to the top of his head. And I'm doing it with the half, felting these locks in half. It's going to do two things. It's going to make them stand up. And then I'm going to flip them back. Catch them. Kind of give him a top knot. I feel like he needs a little lock. Hold on. I've got to find just the right one. I'm super picky about this. So I like that end, but I don't like that end. So I'm going to cut it. I just want it in his face. Just down here a little bit. And I don't like all this white fuzz on his face. Get his horns just right. There we have it. We have a Valais Blacknose, the cutest sheep in the world. I want to see you guys post these. I want to see how they come out. You know, there's a lot of different ways you can dress them. Just go around and tack those locks with one poke, how you like them. Because you want to leave them pretty loose. There we go. One cute little sheep with a piece of fuzz I need to cut off. Maybe. All right, Cannon, we're all done.
Hey, thanks for joining me. I can't wait to see you post these new Valais Blacknose on my group, the Liongate Farm Felting group. And if you like the video, click like and then follow us because it really helps us out. If you need supplies, you know where to go. Head over to liongate.org and click on the farm store. See you next time.